Hey guys, it's Trevor the High Desert Tactical, and I finally decided that I'm going to go over my 1022 build that I think I've finished. I think I'm done. You know, there's always that thing that you guys work on or everybody works on and they think, you know, I could do a little bit of this or I could add a little bit more. Oh no, it's perfect now. No, wait, I could change this. I could change that. So I've had this 1022 for, you know, enough time for me to fool around with it, and I finally got it where I wanted, and I think I'm going to just leave it like this. Other than I may change the optic to a red dot one day just to fool around with it with a red dot. I basically have converted this over to what I would consider a tactical 1022. I converted everything over myself. The stock has been modified. It's basically a stock Polymer 1022 stock that usually comes with the entry level stainless 1022s. I even think they put the Polymer stocks on the blue 1022s too as well. So we'll start with that. What I've gone ahead and done, I've shortened it. I took basically 2 1/4 inches off the butt, just cut it right off, and then I took basically 4 1/2 inches off the front of the stock, in the, you know, to shorten her up and make it more of a little tactical rifle. I didn't really want to buy like an Archangel kit or anything. They're really expensive, and a lot of the reviews I've got on them is they're kind of temperamental and they don't fit perfectly, and so you got to fool around with them a lot. And I really didn't want to deal with something that was already kind of made for the gun, and if I had to modify it and I ruined it, then ran the risk of ruining something that I put a bunch of money on. This Polymer stock was actually given to me by a good friend of mine, and so it's no loss at me if I messed up, but it ended up turning out really well. Let's start off with the butt end of it. So as I took the 2 1/4 inches off the butt stock, I'm left with a hollow hole because this is a hollow stock. And, you know, that looks kind of weird, and it also kind of can, you know, mess around with the comfort of the gun. You know, not all guns are meant to be super comfortable. They're not like a sports shoe or anything. They're a tool. And some people have a tool that they just can't stand in their shop or their garage or whatever, but they got to use it because it's the only tool that does that job. And it's just, you know, it's not always perfect, but it works and does what it needs to be done. And that's kind of how I've gone with this 1022 stock. So what I've gone and done is I took the Great Stuff gap foam, like that foam you fill around spigots and stuff, you know, for the winter, and it keeps the water and the bugs out of big holes and stuff like that. I filled the whole stock up with gap foam, and I let that sit overnight, basically for a whole day, so it would cure. And then I just basically, you know, that stuff just fills all the way up and just expands all over the place. So I just cut that off, sanded it down just a little bit, and then I took a 2-part epoxy, a heavy duty, like 2600 PSI rated pressure epoxy, and basically I taped up the end of the gun. So I basically took the stock and made like a cup around the butt section of the stock, and I just layered on 2 layers of that epoxy and got it to about a 1/2 inch. Then I let that stuff cure for a day, and then I basically took a saw and just sawed that right off flush with the butt stock. So now I got this hardened cap over the foam that is inside the stock. And then I took JB Weld, their quick weld, I think it's called. I just basically took a package of that in 2 tubes and I mixed it all up and layered that stuff onto the butt section, or onto the butt of the stock. Just layered it up and then kind of formed it, because as it sets very fast, it sets, you can still mold it, and then as you mold it, I was just getting it to the shape I wanted, and then once it set hard enough where it wouldn't move anymore, I left it like that, and I left it for a day, like a whole 24 hours, and then I went ahead and shaped it with a knife and some sandpaper, and shaped, and got the finished product of what the butt stock looks like. So that's what I've done with the butt stock, and got it shortened down. So now basically the overall length of my stock from tip of the stock to the butt of it is less than 25 inches. So it brings it up really close. And the reason why I had to shorten the stock, though, is, you might be asking, is, I'll get to it, is the iTac Prismatic. The one downfall of this gun, or Optic, is it has a very short eye relief. So you got to have your eye right up to it for it to work properly. You can't hold your eye, you know, 6 inches away from it, you know, like an AR optic or anything. So I had to shorten that up so you weren't stretching your neck far forward to be able to see through the optic and get the whole field of view correctly. So what I've gone and done on the front end of it, I've cut off about 5 inches, like basically 4.5 inches off the front end, and did it at a steep angle, just kind of add that meanness to it, sanded it up, and then my initial goal for this stock, when I get the gun put together, was I was gonna put a bull barrel on this, and so I had to make sure the stock would fit it, because the original stock was only meant for a standard like pencil barrel, a narrow barrel for the intermediate or entry level 1022s. So obviously a bull barrel would not fit. So I had to cut off the end, so that way I could get down to a wide enough angle or a wide enough gap on the stock so a barrel would fit properly. But I still had to take a wooden dowel, like a half, 3/4 inch, maybe 1 inch dowel, and wrapped it like with 500 grit sandpaper and sanded out the middle of this stock and added basically a round angle to the inside of it so a barrel fits really well. And it ended up basically free floating the barrel as well. So that's what I did with the stock. Just to finish it up and touch it up, I actually ran, like 800 or 900 grit sandpaper all over it, just sanded, and then took like a Krylon plastic, satin enamel spray paint, and spray painted it, and then ran steel wool all over it and gave it this kind of satiny, buffed up finish. And it also made the butt section of the gun look a lot better, because when you sanded the JB welded stuff, it turned it like a silvery gray, like a very light silvery gray, and that looked kind of weird. So now it's like a good solid color of satiny black. So let's start off with the receiver of the 1022. Again, with my other videos, you've seen me do the Power Custom hammer and sear job on it. So I got a Power Custom hammer and sear in it that took it from 6 pound, so from a 6 pound factory pull to like a 2 3/4 pound factory pull, or not factory pull, but pull. So the trigger is really nice that way, and it also has a adjustable sear. So I've been able to adjust the creep in the trigger. So the creep is very, very little, and there's very little travel. It's the trigger pulls, fires, and resets very quickly. So that's what I've done with that. And then I've put a Volquartsen basically extended bolt handle on it. The bolt handle makes it a lot nicer for when you're like manipulating the rifle instead of the factory bolt handle, which is like a little tiny guy, and it's real short, so you don't get a lot of leverage. And then I've also put a Volquartsen Exact edge extractor, so I've done that in there. So let's start off with the barrel. The barrel is the Tactical Solutions, basically a high performance 22 long rifle barrel. It is, I'm not exactly sure what it's made out of, but it's not like a full on steel. It may be, but it's fluted, so it's got some big flutes in it, so it's got a lot of weight removed from it, so it makes the gun ultra light. It's a lot lighter than your typical bow barrel, especially like the bow barrel 1022s that you buy out of the box. It is a 16-inch barrel overall length. It does have a threaded end, so you can actually put a suppressor on it if that's allowed in the state that you live in. I've gone ahead and to add just a cute, cool edge to it, is I put a Tactical Solutions Compensator on it as well. It does help with a little bit of long range shooting, but it's more for savvy, cool looking, and it also keeps the threads of the barrel safe. The threaded end has a little rounded nut on it, but there's really not much to get a hold of it, so I'm afraid that if it got wedged on there, I'd have to really take a tool to it and clamp around it and beat up the barrel nut protector or whatever for the threads. So this compensator makes it easier to remove and take off. So that's kind of the gist of it. I do have a Tactical Solutions extended magazine release on it, so that way I can actually release the magazine without removing my hand from the trigger area, and it leaves my left hand open for operation of removing a magazine, replacing the magazine, and then re-racking around into the rifle. And so I'll be practicing some cool things with how to manipulate the rifle. It works really well for also people that use an AK format on how to actually operate an AK without pulling the gun completely away from your upper body. So that's kind of the gist of it too. The magazines that I do use, I do have the Butler Creek banana magazines, the 25 rounders, but I have been using the BX25s by Ruger, and there's a lot of mixed reviews on those, and they, I've had really good luck with them ever since I kind of figured out the sweet spot for them. They are ammo sensitive. You don't want to just run any kind of ammo through it, and ironically, it doesn't have to be like a super expensive ammo either. I actually found that the Remington Golden Bullets run through these BX25s perfectly, and I have no problems with them at all, which was really ironic because I was running some Federal, like a little bit more expensive Federal bulk ammo through it, 22 long, and it would stovepipe and freak out all the time. It was just really frustrating. So they are ammo sensitive. So if you decide to buy the BX25, buy one and fool around with it. Buy some ammunition of different types and figure out what's best for you. So that's what I've been running on there. Let's get over to the Optic real quick. This is the iTac Prismatic scope, the CP-1. It's a fairly new scope on the market. It's been out for a little longer. It's basically imported from China or Taiwan or whatever, and iTac puts their name on it. But it's actually a really well built optic. It's a 3-power, just with a focus. That's it. No zoom or anything. It's got an illuminated reticle. It does 5 settings of red and 5 settings of green, and obviously windage and elevation. What I've had to do, though, is the Picatinny and dovetail rail that comes with the 1022 does not fit this, because this actually runs on a Picatinny, like a very strict, like 6 Sauer style Picatinny rail mount. So what I had to do is I actually had to buy a Tactical Solutions Picatinny rail adapter, which works really, really well, and they're very cheap. They're like less than $20, and so that was how I actually got the optic on there. And this is a really good optic. I have a couple videos on it. I do have a video of me actually sighting one in, and I definitely encourage you guys to check that out. So what I also have on it as well is I've been holding on to this, and I haven't really figured out exactly what I wanted to do with it until now, is I put a iTac tactical light and laser combination on this guy, and I just basically took a Magpul Picatinny rail adapter or mount for an AR, where it comes with the 2 nuts and the little flat nuts that actually mount to the bottom of Magpul forehand guards and stuff, so you can actually add Picatinny rails to it, and it's made out of a carbon fiber or whatever. So I've gone ahead and just basically drilled holes into the stock and ran the bolts up through the Picatinny rail into the stock, and then I just went to the hardware store and bought some regular nuts and just put a little bit of Loctite on the threads and tightened it down, which made it where I can mount this tactical light and laser. What's really nice about this laser, it's got 3 modes of operation. It's got a steady light, a strobe light, and a laser. And the laser can actually run independently by itself with the light on or with the strobe on at the same time. I've gone ahead and sighted in the laser for about 21 feet. I feel that will work best for, like, if I really wanted to use this rifle as a home defense purpose. If somebody was coming into my house, all the way the angles of my home and the property is, I just need to have something within 21 feet for it to be fairly accurate. After that, I can just switch over to my optic, which I have sighted in for about 30 yards. So that's kind of the gist of that. I've also gone ahead and I wanted to figure out a way, since I don't have like an AR stock or like a butt plate or whatever on this puppy, I wanted to figure out how to put a single point sling on it so I could use the Blackhawk sling that I have for my ARs on this as well. So what I've gone ahead and I actually got a hold of basically 2 parts. I got myself the Outdoor Connections TOC swivel bases, which are threaded bases for wood stocks, and I've just gone ahead and pre-tapped the left side of my stock up to towards the handle of the gun, and just ran one of the short swivel bases in there. And then I bought myself the Brute Easy Detachable Sling Swivel, which is like a polymer swivel by Outdoor Connections, and slapped it on there and put it at a vertical up and down position, so when I have my Blackhawk sling on, I can just basically manipulate it just as if it was a standard single point sling on any kind of carbine style rifle. So yeah, so that's about it. I'm really excited. The gun functions really, really well. I've been shooting it a little bit. I do plan on doing a full-on range video on this puppy where I'm actually going to set up some balloons and a few other different targets and just kind of do just some filming of video or filming of me shooting and just shooting targets and like how the gun behaves and maybe get some pros and cons of my build. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. I really appreciate everybody watching my video. I'm sorry that this one might be a little bit longer than normal, but I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate it. And this is Trevor. This is my tactical 1022 that I finally finished. This is my zombie killer. This is if the the crap hits the fan, I'll be ready. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. It's better to have this than nothing. Yep. This is Trevor, the High Desert Tactical. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll catch you on the flip side.